Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how to import and use the Pqrs encounter note form in Viterra Intergy EHR to help your practice document measures for the Physician Quality Reporting System. The Pqrs encounter note form can be downloaded from the Support Center website. The URL is pretty long, so I'll display it at the end of the video so you can pause it and write it down. In this example, let's say I've downloaded the form to my desktop and I'm ready to import it to EHR. I'm going to do this by clicking Setup, pointing to Encounter Note, and then clicking Form Designer. You may see this message display regarding Form Designer training. I'll provide a URL to that training at the end of this video as well in case you have any questions about what I'm going to show you. I'm going to click Close and adjust this window so it fits the screen. With the Form Designer now open, I'm going to click on File and then Import. I've saved the form to my desktop here, so I'll highlight it and then click Open. Now I'm going to leave this shared option selected so the form is available to everyone in the practice, and because this is the first time I'm downloading it, I don't need to overwrite anything. It is a good idea to periodically check to see if the form has been updated, and if you discover it has, just download it again and check the overwrite box. Now I'll click Import. And the form has been imported. Now that it's on my system, I'm going to go ahead and link to it from my family practice menu form so it's easy to access whenever I need it. I'll click File and Open again and locate my family practice menu form, which is under here. I'm logged in as Dr. David Ford, and click OK. Now in this example, my family practice menu contains links to other forms. Your forms will no doubt look differently, but by following these steps, you can link the Pqrs form to any form you have in your practice. And just to remind you, I'll be showing the URL for Form Designer training at the end of the video should you need it. To add the form, I'm going to click the link button and drag it right here. Now when I release the mouse button, the link button properties dialog box displays. And to locate the form, I'm going to click this button. And we downloaded it to shared, so I'll click here and scroll way down in this list, which is pretty long. Here's my form. I'll highlight it and click OK. And click OK again. And then I'm going to go ahead and just resize this button a little bit so it matches the rest. This step really isn't necessary, but there you go. So there's my Pqrs form. With that in place, the practice is ready to document Pqrs measures. Let's go back to EHR and show you a few of the ways you can do that. I'm going to close this out, and yes, I want to save my changes. Before you begin documenting, you'll want to decide which 3 measures to attest to for each provider at your practice. You can find these measures on the Pqrs dashboard in Practice Analytics as well as on the CMS Pqrs website. I'll include that website URL at the end of the video. Once you've decided on your measures, depending on the measure, you can document them on the Pqrs form, and in some cases that can be documented using your other encounter forms or outside of Encounter Note as part of your normal workflow. To show these various examples, we'll use tobacco cessation, influenza vaccine, and osteoporosis screening as our example measures. So let's start with tobacco cessation. We already have an encounter open for Sharon Carlson, so let's head to the forums. And my family practice menu form is right here. Click OK. Now we can see the Pqrs form here, but in the case of smoking cessation, this practice has included the medicine findings needed to document those measures on another form. This helps streamline the workflow. They're located on the generic male and female forms so that information can be captured by an assistant as they are gathering patient information at the beginning of a visit. To show you how this works, I'll click Generic Female and then click the Past Medical History tab. You can see the tobacco use findings here. In this case, the patient is a non-smoker, so by simply clicking Y for non-smoker, the measure has been documented. Actually, the measure will be documented when the encounter note is saved. Next, we'll document the influenza immunization measure. This is one of those measures that can be documented in one of 2 ways. If the patient meets the requirements, age 50 and older, and we see that Sharon Carlson is, and the immunization is administered, the measure is documented in Pqrs. I'll go ahead and click Patient Chart and then we're already on the immunizations tab. We can see the vaccine has been administered, so I'll go ahead, or been ordered. I'll go ahead and click administer. Now when I click save, that finding has been documented in Pqrs. Now, if the patient refuses the vaccine, just documenting that here isn't enough. It must be documented on the Pqrs form. We'll go back to Encounter Note, head back to our Family Practice menu, and select the Pqrs form. And then I'm going to go ahead and select the measure for the vaccinations. We can see the influenza and pneumonia vaccinations here. They both work the same way. If the patient refuses the vaccine, click N, and then select a reason. When the form is saved, or when the encounter is saved, the measure is documented. Pretty simple. Now our final example, osteoporosis screening, works in a similar fashion in that parts of it can be considered documented by using the form and by ordering a medication in EHR. I'll go ahead and select that measure, which is measure 39. Now this measure is considered documented when the associated X-ray, a DEXA, is ordered or administered. This part must be documented on the form. Now if the patient was counseled to have a DEXA but didn't receive it, you would click N and select a reason, just like we did for the flu vaccine measure. This measure is also considered documented if the patient received a prescription for an osteoporosis therapy drug such as Beniva. That can be documented on the form here, but you don't have to. When you prescribe that medication from patient chart or orders charges, the system will consider that documented for Pqrs. Right now, there are 20 measures you can choose from, and as you can see, each measure has its own unique way it can be documented. Take some time and carefully review them in Practice Analytics and on the CMS website so you can determine which measures work most easily within the established workflows in your practice. Now, as promised, here are the URLs I talked about during the video. Be sure to hit pause so you have time to copy them down.